Can you imagine breaking office rules to be in a relationship? Zougrana had been married to his wife Teni for the past 3 years. They both had no issues leading up to their marriage and had had a great relationship. Their marriage was going well and they were blessed with a child. His wife Teni had just taken maternity leave from work, where she was working at a developmental bank. Zougrana, on the other hand, was working at a private bank. One Monday morning, Zougrana gets into the office and sees a woman sitting at the accounting desk. She introduces herself as Esinam. Very beautiful, very kind, and he could clearly see that she would cause a lot of commotion within their office. So they get to talking, she introduces herself, they have a quick chat, and Zougrana heads off towards his office. Esinam then decides to walk with him and follow him, causing a little bit of a stir in the office. Realizing that she could potentially be a source of problems or complications for him, and noticing that she was garnering a lot of attention from other co-workers, Zougrana told himself that he was going to steer clear and keep it strictly professional, not interact with Esinam a lot. Unfortunately, Esinam had other plans. She would often pass by his office, say hi, chit-chat, want to talk to him, and even sometimes reserve a seat for him during lunch hours. So eventually, they got close. At this point, Zougrana decided that he's going to tell Teni about Esinam, and that it's a friend from work, they get along, but just so you know. Teni was not convinced. She really felt that Esinam was clearly a woman who was interested in him and would stop at nothing, and that he should be very careful. Zougrana, told her and comforted her that don't worry, we're keeping it strictly professional, nothing's gonna happen. By the time the end of year party rolled around, Zougrana informed Teni that, end of year party at the office, he's going to be late, but take care, I'll see you later. Teni agreed, so he went to the party. Everybody had a great time. They were eating, they were drinking, dancing, and Zougrana took a little more than expected. He was a little past tipsy, but he was enjoying himself, having a great time, and he took this opportunity to dance and wind and bump and grind with Esinam. They had a great time. The night was going well, until eventually Esinam encouraged him to leave the party and get into the car with her. At this point, Zougrana doesn't really remember much. The party was a little hazy, he drank a lot, he doesn't remember much. Until waking up the following morning at 5 a.m. in his car, his shirt and tie completely dirty, disheveled, sitting inside his car parked outside a house he doesn't know, with a bunch of missed calls from Teni. He quickly sends her a text that he's sorry, he's coming home right now, he'll be there in a bit. Gets himself together and heads home. Upon arriving at home, Teni is concerned, angry, and worried and says, what happened? Why? Where have you been? Zougrana says, look, I'm sorry, the party ran late. I had clearly way too much to drink. I don't remember things. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry, but I'm here, I'm back, I'm fine, everything's okay. When they're finally back at work, Zougrana meets a colleague at the entrance who congratulates him on, his dance moves and the vibe he and Esinam had. And Zougrana says, what in the world happened on that dance floor? And the colleague says, you guys were dancing really close. There was a tension. It seemed like there was some chemistry. So, good on you. So Zougrana said, nah, this is not what he planned. He doesn't remember that night. He doesn't want to deal with this. So he sends a quick text to him and says, look, I'm sorry I behaved inappropriately. I will not do it again. Please let's just forget about whatever happened. I don't want to deal with it. Esinam says, oh no, I can't forget. We had a great time. I really enjoyed our time dancing and I really enjoyed your kisses. Zougrana looks at the message and said, oh, no thank you. I'm not dealing with that. So he ignores it. He decides to steer clear away from Esinam. Esinam is not agreeing. Fast forward a few weeks. Zougrana returns home late one Friday to an empty house, dead quiet. Teni has packed out. She left a note on the table stating, I am leaving you and you're cheating behind. In addition is a picture of Zougrana and Esinam in bed without clothes, a screenshot from a security footage. In this moment, Zougrana realizes that he's losing his marriage. Following Monday, he heads to work wanting to find a solution with Esinam and clear up some of the confusion of the night he remembers not. And on his desk, he finds an envelope. Esinam is pregnant for him. Zougrana decides at this moment his life cannot get any worse. His wife is filing for divorce. Esenam is claiming she's pregnant by him, and he's trying to keep everything under wraps because he doesn't want to be fired. Unfortunately, with all this information, he goes to Esenam in anger and starts shouting and yelling and gesticulating everywhere, saying, "How could you have done this to me? You've trapped me. This cannot be true. What did you do?" Before their co-workers have to come in, try and calm them down, and security takes Zougrana to the HR office. HR then informs him that they've been made aware that Esenam and Zougrana have broken company rules, that they have engaged in interpersonal relationships that are not authorized within the workplace, and that they're both being served with termination letters. At this point, Zougrana's life is falling apart. He doesn't know what to do again. A few months down the line, Zougrana is in the process of divorce with Teni, even though he's fighting very hard to maintain his marriage, maintain his wife, trying to rid himself of all of this guilt and all these accusations. At the same time, Esenam has given birth to their child. And Zougrana decides that, wait, DNA tests are a thing. So he quietly has their child tested to see if he really is the father. The results come back, it is negative. Upon getting the results, Zougrana drives straight to Esenam, waving the document saying, "You see, this is not true. You're trying to trap me. What is going on?" Eventually, Esenam breaks down. She confesses that, you know what? It's true. The night of the party, we did not in fact do anything. I spiked your drink, brought you to my house, took a few pictures, and I put you back in your car. That is also why you don't remember anything. With the pictures, Esenam confessed that she had sent them directly to Teni, hoping to break them up because she wanted Zougrana for herself. Zougrana said, is that so? Well, thankfully, I've caught you. The child is not mine, so you will deal with it all on your own. But I now have proof. So with that proof, Zougrana rushes back to Teni, begs her forgiveness, gives her all the proof he has. The child is not his drink was spiked, the pictures were false, and was finally able to save his marriage. Now, 1 year later, Zougrana and Teni are back together in a happy place, and Zougrana decides it's time for him to look for a new job. He gets one at an even bigger bank, and it is exactly the job position he's been dreaming of. Upon arriving on his first day at work, the HR person gives him a tour, shows him all the different departments, until somebody walks in. She says, "Hi." Zougrana turns and realizes it is Esenam. Now that's an entangled web. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.